How do you think about pulling yourself out of a negative mood? If someone wakes up on a morning and wrong side of the bed syndrome, what would be some of the places that you would say, look, here's a few things that you can do that can reliably change your mood alongside all of the other stuff that you need to do within a day? You can't just take the day off and fly to Cancun or something.
Yeah, so remember a few minutes ago I said one of the most important things I learned in the last year with respect to this was that I don't want to confuse the feelings of happiness with I don't want to confuse the scent of happiness with the macronutrients of happiness, borrowing from Arthur Brooks' language. I think the other equally important thing I've learned in the last year, and I mean I've learned this maybe sooner, but I've really been better at implementing it, is feelings exist for a reason. So to be clear, I'm not a person who believes that your feelings are right. I think they're wrong most of the time. But the point is, they're never accidental.
Something caused them.
Yeah. And I have to explore the something. And this is where I've become, I think, more savvy in the past year, which is when I get into a funk, which I do, I don't ignore it. I don't judge it. Those are two very important things. So that used to be my playbook. Ignore it or judge it. Ignore it or judge it. Be critical of it or pretend it's not there and power through. Now it's, and I hate to do this because you sound like an idiot like Ted Lasso, it's just be curious and non-judgmental about it. Like literally just say, Peter, you seem to really be irritable and you really seem to be lacking interest in things that normally interest you. You don't even feel like going out and playing with your kids. Like you're very sullen and this, that, and the other thing. Like, what is that about? Let's just think about this. Like, do you feel a loss of intimacy with this person? Are you afraid of this thing? Is there something that's that is causing fear? Are you afraid of losing something? Do you feel humiliated? Like you start to go through very basic emotions that tend to be negatively valenced, and you go one layer beneath them. And interestingly, I mean, again, it's one of those things where if you told me this 5 years ago, I would have said that's impossible that I could ever figure it out. But I tend to stumble into the why. And then you can start to problem solve. Oh, all of this is due to my fear of this thing happening. And then you can start to say, well, how rational is that fear? And if it is rational, is there something you could be doing about it? And if there's not, how can you brace for this outcome? So again, it's and so going back, the feeling itself might have been totally ridiculous and totally false. But it was a very important clue that took me back to figuring something out.
It's really cool to hear you talk about feelings in that way. This is something I'm trying to learn a lot about at the moment. I'm aware that it sounds like the most sort of performatively autistic thing to say, like, I'm trying to learn how to feel feelings, but like, here we are. And I really think that it's an area that is ripe for people who like to improve themselves, guys and girls that are type A go-getters that want to try and achieve things. And they're completely missing one of the huge elements of this, which is what's the day-to-day experience of your mind like? Not from a mindfulness standpoint, because even mindfulness, you can use that to not feel feelings very well. Like a thought arises and we let it go. It's like, okay, fine. But where did that come from? Why did you feel that way? And are you really applying all of the equanimity that you can to just release, relax, and allow these things? That's like taking a paracetamol to stop pain. It's like the pain is going to continue to be fed up to you. What's causing that?
Yeah.
And it sounds so like fluffy and unscientific. And I think another part of it is, especially coming from like a health and fitness side, people want to be able to control the system. If I eat this many grams of protein and lift this much, I can expect this amount of muscle gain over a year, given the blah, 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 blah. But with emotions, it's just this, it's chaos, right? You don't have the same rigor when it comes to assessing them and when it comes to dealing with them. But yeah, I certainly for me, it is the area that there is the most room for growth, to be able to understand feelings, feel them, integrate them, work out where they're coming from. It's cool. It's cool to hear that you've got a practice like that. I think it's something that we need to be talking about an awful lot more.
Well, it's a journey. I mean, it's. I hope to be a lot better at it in 5 years. But and I think the other thing I would really hope is that I hope to be able to teach my kids, because I think it would be more valuable than most things I could teach them. Right? Like I do think that had I learned this in my teens, I would have saved myself, and by extension, a lot of other people, a lot of pain. And a lot of that, the detonation. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, at what point is a child sort of mature enough to sort of start to, metabolize that,
learn how to emotionally self-regulate and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Momentous. Trust really is everything when it comes to supplements, and that is why I rely on Momentous. They have the most rigorous third-party testing of any supplement company that I have ever found. Everything that they make is NSF certified for sport, meaning that even Olympic athletes can use it, and that ensures that what they say is in the packet is actually in the packet. Their sleep packs are one of my favorite products, which I use every single night before bed. They contain only the most evidence-based ingredients at perfect doses to help you fall asleep on a nighttime, stay asleep throughout the night, and wake up feeling more rested and revitalized in the morning. Best of all, there is a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can buy it completely risk-free. Try it for 29 days, and if you do not like it, they will give you your money back. Right now, you can get a 20% discount on everything site-wide by going to the link in the show notes below or heading to livemomentous.com/modernwisdom and using the code modernwisdom at checkout. That's live, momentos.com/modernwisdom and the code modernwisdom at checkout.